Everybody, Chris with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal in Palm Beach County, Florida. We just pulled up to a senior living facility. We're going to be picking up a bed, minimum pickup, super quick and easy. It's already taken apart and moved into a different room for us because this was called in a week ago when we just got into California for the Junk Expo. We got there last Wednesday. Customer called and said, hey, my husband needs to get a hospital bed delivered tomorrow morning, and they said it needs to be out before they can do that. Is there any way you can pick it up? And I said, Doris, I just got to California about 3 hours ago and I'm not going to be back until next week, but let me check with one of my guys to see if he can do it. I called up my 1099 and said, hey, I have this situation. Can you pick it up tomorrow? He said, yes, after 12. Great. We got it all squared away. I told her I'll take payment afterwards, just in case anything changes. And he showed up at 12 o'clock and there's no bed. And they had no recollection of when this bed was going to be getting delivered. So he left and I never heard from anybody again. And then I called the front desk lady, who is always the one who refers us out, and I was like, hey, what's going on with this bed? It's been like 3 days. And she's like, yeah, we don't know yet. We don't know when it's going to get delivered. And I was like, okay. So they called me on Monday and said, hey, it's going to be coming tomorrow late afternoon. When can you pick up? And I was like, well, we get back Wednesday morning. I can grab it then. And now it's Wednesday morning. So I feel like that's an appropriate time to charge an extra like 50, 100 bucks, because I literally had somebody come out here to pick something up and it just wasn't available yet. But I don't know. The lady's like 84 years old. Her husband has COVID. He's getting switched to a hospital bed. She's dealing with a bunch of crap. She like poured her heart out to me for like 10 minutes on the phone when we were in California one day. And I don't think it was intentional. I think it's some like mild dementia. My mom does the same thing. So I was like, you know what? You got enough going on. Honestly, this whole situation is not worth the minimum pickup that it is. The main reason that we are doing this and accommodating this situation and trying to get our 1099 out here, potentially paying him like 100 bucks to do this job when we're only making 150 total, is because we're a vendor here. And I don't know how likely this is to happen, but I get nervous if they have to call somebody else out because we're not available and they're like, oh, we can do this too. What were you using? Oh, we might be able to beat them. And then they just swatch over. Like, there's no loyalty. Like, they know us, they like us, but they don't have to use us every time, you know? So I don't know. And like, we don't get a ton of work here, but it comes in waves. I would say we've easily done a few $1,000s here, like in the first couple of months. Over the span of the last year and a half, we've probably done over like $5,000, $6,000 here, which, you know, that's just one facility. We go to a lot of facilities, and I just trying to keep that relationship there. So we're probably gonna just eat the cost. She did say on the phone it's in pretty good condition, so I'm hoping we can at least donate it if anything else. And that's kind of what's going on. So when we get done, we're going to talk a little bit about what we learned from the Junk Expo in Sonoma County this last week and what we're going to be applying for 2026. So stay tuned. This is all we pretty much need here. The mattress bars, whether I need to make 1 trip or 2 trips, we will see. I believe there's a box spring, so likely 2 trips. But when we were at the Expo, we had a lot of people thank us for recommending these. They got them for their truck. They're a huge game changer. I've been telling you guys about this for a long time. I know a lot of people have been getting this, and it just makes things so easy, especially if you're on your own or if you have somebody with you. Here is the bed. Nice thick mattress. So 1 trip and then hopefully 1 trip. This is a little different. When she said metal frame, I'm thinking like the little fold up one. So So super easy, you literally just pull it. It takes the weight off, you don't have to worry about balancing it. You don't have to carry them individually. Just pull and steer. I'll come back for the mattress. Junk Expo 2025, Sonoma County. We just went to it this last weekend. We were up there for 2 days. The event was 2 days, and then we stayed around for 2 days. and we learned a good amount of little tidbits of information to apply to our business, especially heading into 2026. Now, let me just first off start by saying we did get a couple of good golden nuggets that I had not heard of before that we can definitely apply to ourselves. I'm not going to talk too much about them because they're very specific to us. However, what I am going to talk about is something that I think was good, which is it was a more of a reminder. Like, we already know a lot about junk removal. Once you're in the business for like a year, you should, for the most part, know everything you need to know. It just comes down to how you apply it and what you're actually doing versus just knowing. Like, there's a lot we know, but we don't do, right? So I can say, yeah, I do this, I do that, I do that. But if I'm not doing it consistently and doing it with quality, or doing it with the right quantity, then I'm probably not getting very good results. And this was a good reminder of kind of sticking to the basics and making sure you have that drilled down pat before you go all these little separate avenues trying to find these details. So that was just a big reminder. There's like 7 iguanas in our front yard. Where the fuck do these things come from? They're such a pain because then they shit all over the driveway. Anyways, basics. So we got a couple of tidbits of information of things to do to try to stay a little bit more consistent, ways to do that. Something we're personally going to be doing is for social media. We're mainly on Facebook and Nextdoor. I share on Instagram and have it automatically share it to Facebook directly because you can schedule posts like that. And it's just easier versus trying to upload to multiple sources. I don't post a ton on Nextdoor because I don't like to be annoying, but we are going to shift our focus a little bit. Right now, we usually just share like photos of me and Tanya on the job, so it's a little bit more of a personal factor to it. But we're actually going to shift a little bit more to blog style and showcasing educational tips because I think that'll help resonate a little bit more with the demographic of Nextdoor. So it'll be like for downsizing, senior transitioning kind of post, helpful tips we find, and then, you know, kind of help lead into a CTA for junk removal. Another thing we're going to be doing is Tanya is going to be doing a blog style posting schedule for Instagram and Facebook. So something we learned from one of the gentlemen, Abel, I think his last name is Dominguez, I'm not sure. But he does a lot of community work, and we do what I believe to be a decent amount of background stuff, but we don't ever talk about it. We don't share it to social media. We just tell our customers, hey, this is what we do. And we get a lot of good feedback from it, but we don't share it publicly. So we're going to start doing that. We're not going to really be like in the face, like, oh, this is how we donate to homeless people, and go, you know, film a video dropping it off to somebody, because like, to me, that's just like chasing clout. I believe it's the right word. Clout. Chasing clout. C-L-O-U-T. Clout. Right? We don't want to do that. But I would rather say, hey, this is the kind of stuff that we put off to the side. You know, brand new toiletries, very clean, hygienic products, or like small umbrella, sunscreen, bug spray, backpacks, duffel bags, tote bags. Like, we keep all this stuff off to the side, and then when it gets full, we go drop it off to different homeless people or to shelters in our area, just to kind of help lend a helping hand. So it's not just cash based, because I think we all know, not all, but most cash related transactions with the homeless usually end up going to a negative substance. And I've had friends in that situation, and that is typically what they would do with it. So we try to be a little bit more of a functional help by providing them with like a goodie bag that they can use for their personal hygiene, some long-term effects and whatnot. So we're going to try to post a little bit more about that, post more about the donation. Something that we're going to do, I've thought about doing it, and we just never really have done it, where we donate a lot to like our neighbors. Like, we'll put stuff out of the curb and our neighbors will grab it. And a lot of them send us photos and say, hey, look how this turned out. And what I think I'm going to start doing is I'll screenshot that and send it to the client that we picked it up from and say, hey, just want to let you know we were able to drop off some of your stuff to donation. Here's one of your pieces already being used by a family in our area. And I just feel like that'll help people feel a little bit better instead of just seeing it go straight to Goodwill with the $4.99 Sharpie drawn on it. They can actually see it being used by somebody else. And I just think that'll be a good thing to get started with. Something I learned that I didn't know was a factor was when you upload to Google My Business, I've always, for the most part, just done it from home, like late at night, just, oh, okay, let me go ahead and upload a couple of photos and do a post. I didn't realize that it's Google Maps, so there's geo tracking in where you post. I don't know 100% how accurate this is, but it was talked about. Basically, what we're going to start doing from now on is every time we're at a job site, like we have a habit of, we'll text a review link to the client. We're going to take a photo and we're going to upload it directly to Google My Business from that location. That way on maps in the geo tracking, code of Google, it shows us uploading from all these different points versus always at the same location. They say it helps. We'll try it out for a while. Something else that we're going to be doing is if we have a client that's just raving about us, like, oh my God, you guys were amazing. You made it so stress-free, blah, blah, blah. And we always say, oh, thank you so much. Would you mind leaving us a review? They're always, yeah, of course. What we're going to try to start doing is for those customers say, thank you so much. Would you want to take a photo with us and our vehicle? And you can share that on your review and we can share it on social media. I think it'll help encourage people to actually leave a review instead of just saying they will. And we get content with engagement with our clients for social media. So we've done it with a couple of like repeats that we do work with that are like realtors and organizers. We don't really do it with a lot of our clientele though. So we're going to try to start doing that. Video testimonials are something that we were going to push for earlier this year. We just never really got around to it. So we'll probably get that back in the mix. And then just trying to stay on top of our business to business marketing. So that's something that we probably do realistically, probably twice a year. We should be doing it at minimum every quarter, but it's hard when it's just me and Tanya, and she's still doing part-time work with her former company. And then of course I have this and dealing with family stuff, but we're going to try to keep to a schedule and we're going to kind of follow the 80-20 rule where you kind of put 80% of your effort into the top 20 yielding results of something. And this is something I learned about back in 2022 and I applied it to a lot of my stuff and it really canceled off a lot of the BS. And we're going to do that for our business to business marketing because we go to a lot of places because we shoot for volume. But in reality, even if we do get a job from that place, it's not really something that happens frequently enough that it makes sense to do. So we're going to really focus on certain places that we know like we're likely to get work from or that we know overall we will see results from. Why did you stop right here? And I think overall it will save us a lot of time. Like kind of think about the fact that, if we were to, go visit 25 senior living facilities and 25 apartment buildings and 25 storage units, that's a lot of time to do when we're actively the ones on the truck. Versus if out of that 25, I think, okay, realistically, I wouldn't want to do work at I wouldn't want to do work at least 5 of these places. Like there's nowhere to park, the elevators are really small, the stairs suck, and the people here are super cheap. Like this is a luxury service. I can go to an apartment building and be like, okay, if your rent is $700, not the case anymore, but if your rent is really cheap, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to be needed for junk removal unless there's like an eviction or a clean out. And I feel like at that point you can probably just reach out to the property manager directly or something. So we're just going to try to trim out the fat of the places that we don't get the best results from and try to focus on those other ones and then stay consistent with that. So that's going to be a pretty big one. And then everything else is just kind of building consistency. Like, I don't utilize certain tools enough. Like, we have autopilot for our CRM. I don't do the text blasts. You can categorize all of your realtors, and then once a month you can send out a text blast to all of your realtors, and, you know, kind of reminding them of who you are, and maybe you're running a 10% special that month or something, and hopefully they have a housing open house or a listing coming up that they just happen to maybe need junk removal for, and you know, that's a good refresher, and you're hoping that you catch them in the right time. So we definitely need to start using that a little bit more. Even just using things like, you know, Instagram scheduling. Like, you don't have to buy the app that allows you to schedule stuff. You can schedule posts up to 30 days in advance, as many as you want. I think I did it for the whole past month that we weren't really doing a lot of work because of the accident. So like, every night before, I can schedule and post a couple of photos from the day of, and that way I know I always have information being put out there, and I'm not slacking on it in case we get really busy the next day. And oh, you know, maybe the morning goes by and look, well, I know the mornings are usually busier than afternoons. I don't want to wait too late. I'll just push it off to tomorrow. You know, it just kind of helps you keep things a little bit consistent. So overall, it's sticking to the basics, staying consistent, and doing good quality and quantity at the same time. And once we get that down pat, and then we start to see like our incoming volume is kind of plateauing, then we start looking for those very specific people to go talk to, like wholesalers, house flippers, things like that. Because our goal, that's another thing, niches. I think this is good for people like us because we do majority residential, like furniture, household clutter, and cleanouts. That's like the bulk of our work. And we want to get into more cleanouts, but we don't really do debris. It's not because I don't have a dump trailer. I just don't get a lot of debris jobs, and I don't like debris jobs. But we don't get a ton of them. We don't get a lot of vegetation jobs, like a big pile of branches in the front yard or something. And we don't really do a lot of like appliance pickups unless it's like mixed in with the household stuff. So we kind of want to try to shift a little bit more towards specifically marketing for furniture removal, household clutter removal, and property cleanouts, you know, garage cleanouts, storage unit cleanouts, things of that nature. And we can still take a debris job if it comes up, but our focus is going to be the stuff that we are good at moving and are efficient with, and we have the best cases of donating and selling and getting rid of it all. So we're going to kind of revamp all of our marketing material for 2026. Now that we're like almost into November, we only have 2 months left, so we're going to get new uniforms. We're going to change our style for our business cards and our door hangers and yard signs. All that's going to be done using marketing. You already know that. Not going to be spending thousands of dollars on Vistaprint. But yeah, we're going to be doing like a whole revamp. I just changed the fucking website like 2 months ago, but I have an idea. I'm not going to mess with the website because I spent like 6 hours messing with it. 6 hours for like the 5th time. I've probably put 300 hours into that thing, and it probably still sucks SEO wise. But I'm basically just going to make a single, like my homepage is going to be like my landing page, and it's just going to have a little bit of everything in it as if that was my only page. And then we have our extra drop down pages for like more details and keywords and stuff. So I'll probably mess with that sometime this week. But that's kind of the gist of it. A blog, more storytelling about the stuff we do in the background with the community. We're going to try to get involved in the community a little bit more as well. We have a couple of things kind of lined up for that. More consistent social media posting, better quality photos and like short videos and clips, like funny commercials. I don't know how funny it is, but we made one while we were at Bodega Bay in California 2 days ago, and we shared it I think of just today on social media. You know, and just doing more engagement and just trying to get out there a little bit more, but then being consistent with it too, and then keeping up with our business to business marketing and, you know, so on. So that's some of the stuff we learned. If you went there, comment down below what you learned, and even if it's not new, what do you plan on implementing with your business? And are you doing it right away, or are you going to wait until 2026? Because I do think comes a point where you don't want to go too crazy with stuff, because then it gets overwhelming, especially towards the end of the year. So that is our 2 cents on the subject, and I look forward to hearing what everybody else thinks. So that's going to be it for today, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.